Please tell me, what's your name?
My name is Sarah. I'm 7 years old. I'm a runner, I'm a swimmer, and a ballerina. I feel very happy when I give to others
Why do you think Jesus wants us to give to others?
because it makes him happy when we give to others.
So Sarah, if you could tell people anything, what would you tell them?
I will tell them you look so gorgeous.
So I grew up in a home where I had everything, but money was scarce. I was the son of a Methodist minister, and he started out in Nambabib, Springbok, Namaqualand, that area. And my dad said if the road was wide enough on his way to that assignment, he would have made a U-turn and gone home. But for us, as I remember my young years, eat-outs were a special treat occasionally, and everyone had a budget. So 10 Rand, boys, you have 10 Rand to spend at the Golden Egg, and you can spend it how you like, but there was a budget and we knew it. My mom always had anchovy toast at the Wimpy or that same old Golden Egg, and came to understand that it was not necessarily the thing she wanted. She didn't love anchovy toast that much. It was the cheapest thing on the menu, which created margin for us to have more. So just a beautiful heart. So I think those early years had much to do regarding my initial study and career choice. I made a quantity of life decision rather than a quality of life decision. I studied a BCom. I was going to study this money thing, how to get it, how to keep it, how to make it work. So I did a BCom. I worked on the Free State gold mines, moved from Welkom to a town called Fochville, worked there as a regional accountant. And then at age 26, hit a quarter life crisis. Apparently that's a thing these days. You get to 26, quarter of your life, and you got to rethink all things. And I started to ask, well, how did I want to invest my one and only life? And Michelle and I were moved to a quality of life decision. I needed to get my relationship with money right. It was a money or your life decision. So in a sense, as we discerned God's call for us, we packed up the 4-bedroom mine house. 2 of the bedrooms had no furniture in them. We didn't have furniture. We set off with our daughter, now newborn, firstborn, 4 months old. We set off on a 6-year probation in the Methodist Church, which is an apprenticeship. I did a Bachelor of Theology, and we had to learn fundamentally to live on less. And I use the word live with a capital L because as I remember back, we lived and it was a glorious adventure. But we needed to learn to live on less. And in that learning, so much profound in our lives. My sense is that we all have a money or your life decision. Because that's the call we had to make, money or our lives. We're going to pursue this thing regardless of what it does to us, or we're going to choose differently. And so I think we all have a money or your life decision to make. Money is a powerful thing. If you are having a wild reaction to the mere mention of money in the context of church, and you have history and experience with that, you may sense instinctively how powerful it is. Just the mere mention has a physical response in you. And so let me ask, how do you respond to this statement? And I'd invite you to just stick with me because this is liberating stuff. How do you respond to this statement? The love of money is the root of all evil. Now this is what Paul, the apostle, now on in years, writes to a young man, Timothy, and he's saying the unhealthy obsession with wealth can lead to harmful behaviors and moral compromises. The unhealthy obsession with wealth twists and corrupts what is beautiful. The unhealthy obsession with wealth is the root of all evil. This is what Paul writes to Timothy. And I'm not sure what your gut response to this statement is. If it's, hey, Wayne, don't talk to me about my stuff. Again, I just want to invite you to stick with me. This is, I think, incredibly important. We have a money or your life decision. It doesn't depend on how much or little you have. We all have a money or your life decision. We live in a world where things so often come before people. $1.26 trillion is lost annually in developing countries due to corruption, bribery, theft, and tax evasion. And that's according to the United Nations. 1 in 4, and wherever you're watching from, I don't know where you're sitting, maybe there's another 3 people with you. 1 in 4 people globally has paid a bribe to access public services in the last year. So look around you, which one of you in the room with you? That's by Transparency International. We live in a world where the richest 1% of the global population owns nearly 50% of the world's wealth, while the bottom 50% owns less than 1%. That's according to Oxfam. Human trafficking, which is money before people, is a $150 billion global industry, with millions of people, including children, being exploited for profit. 40.3 million people are trapped in modern-day slavery. Corporations often prioritize profit over the environment and sustainability, and they contribute to the crisis like deforestation, pollution, and climate change. The top 100 companies, interestingly, are responsible for 71% of global emissions, the Carbon Disclosure Project records. The illegal drug trade, and this is a multi-billion-dollar global industry, and it's driven by the pursuit of profit, the love of money, has fueled violence, addiction, and destruction in many regions, in families, in homes, in individuals' lives. Now, these stats may be far away and distant from you, but money is the number one source of conflict and breakup in relationships. Things over people. In fact, 35 to 50% of all divorces around the world cite money stress and conflict as the source of the breakup. So, you may think of some of your relationships and say, what's the source of the tension in that relationship? And you may well find that if you dig down, it's for the love, the unhealthy obsession with wealth. In a world where the love of money, the unhealthy obsession with material things, let's call it greed, shall we, has an incredible power to destroy. So today, is there another way for us to live? In a world where I can be anything, what if we live differently? What if we embraced the biblical antidote to greed? What if we lived generously, free from the tyranny and the destructive power of the money god? Now, why do I call it a money god? Well, Jesus sets money alongside God in a sense. Matthew, the money-obsessed tax collector, now Jesus' follower. Matthew had made a money over life choice. He had pursued money. He was taxing his people unfairly. He had made a break from his family, his tradition, his religion, all of that. He had made a money choice over life. And Matthew records Jesus' liberating invitation and his instruction. So Jesus says in his Sermon on the Mount to a crowd of people, he says, don't store up treasures on earth, which just rots, rusts, and gets stolen. Rather, store up treasures in heaven, which is eternal and not subject to rust or rot and theft. Why? And let me read what Jesus says. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. This is a heart thing. Jesus is saying, get your heart in the right place, and the stakes are high. So where your treasure goes, your heart goes. So best your heart be in the right place, best your treasure be in the right place. And then Jesus says, no one can serve 2 masters. Either you will hate the one, and this is emotive language, right? You will hate the one and love the other. Or you will be devoted, emotional language to one, and you will despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. So he's saying, get your heart in the right place, and the way to do that is to get your treasure in the right place. There's a choice, money or your life. You can serve money, which masquerades as God, offers you all things, including identity for those who put their identity in what they own. But it's fickle, here today, gone tomorrow. Or you can serve God, but you cannot do both. You will love one and you will hate the other. So how? How do we get our hearts in the right place? And it has something to do with our treasure. So there is a biblical instruction and a discipline that ensures that we make a life over money decision and we get our hearts in the right place. If you're watching and you're not sure about this Christian thing and you're exploring your faith, if you're not sure about Grace Family Church for that matter, you're not sure about this digital campus, you can check out a little now if you like, but I'm hoping you'll lean in and I'm hoping that you will be inspired. So if you are a follower of Christ, and you consider Grace Family Church your home, and perhaps for you it's this digital campus. And I'm so delighted by the work that this campus does both here in South Africa and around the world. And so wherever you are, let us know. Just say, man, I'm from Moscow or from Berlin or from London, wherever. But we'd love to know where you're from. But this discipline that the Bible calls us to, and the tradition of the church for thousands of years, is both privilege and responsibility. It's life-giving. The biblical instruction dating back to the beginning and the practice of the people of God for centuries, the discipline of bringing in the tithe, is what moves the heart and keeps the heart in the right place. The tithe simply means the first tenth of what I earn. The tithe, let me be clear, is not God's way of raising funds. It's God's way of raising His children. He's after your heart, not your things. It's God's way of ensuring that our hearts are in the right place. So when we tithe, we provide for God's house. I'm inspired by the tithes of the people of Grace for the past 32 years. You know, if you don't know, Grace Family Church started in 1992 with just a handful of people, 30 people. And for 5 years, it was 30 to 50 people. A meeting in a school hall, and it shifted from one school hall to the next. In 2005, the Umhlanga campus was occupied Christmas Day 2005 after about a 2-year building program. That campus filled up, and in the ensuing years, the Riverside campus was launched, the Belito campus was launched, and the Cornubia campus was launched. And during COVID, Grace Family Church launched this digital campus, which just is a beautiful expression of this community's heart to reach people with the incredible news of God's love. And so if this is your home, if Grace Digital is your home, you're a beautiful community of people sitting in your lounges or wherever you are, deeply connected to each other and the community of Grace here in South Africa. So I'm inspired by the generosity and the discipline of those who have brought in the tithe over the many, many years. Who knows what we'll become as we continue to just do that together. When we tithe, we resource God's house. When we tithe, we tell God we trust Him, not our money. When we tithe, we choose God over our stuff. We make the life over money choice. When we tithe, we create margin in our lives for God to fill. We refuse to live on 100% of what we earn. We remember, when we tithe, we remember that God is our source. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, and all we have is by God's grace. God is our source. When we tithe, we connect our money to a kingdom purpose, the healing of the world. We connect our jobs when we tithe to an eternal significance. No longer do we just go to work. No, we are in service of the Creator of all things with every moment of our life. And we spend so much of our time doing our work. Now it has an eternal significance. When we tithe, we transform our money into a seed, and a seed is something so often invisible but can grow into a mighty forest and produce a great crop. When we tithe we break greed and we break self-reliance off of our hearts. When we tithe, and this is a beautiful thing for me, when we tithe, we let everything in our lives know that God is first. Can you see how it moves our heart? When we tithe, we, with obedience and discipline, place our treasure in God's hands. And where our treasure is, says Jesus, our heart will be also. Now, believe it or not, but this discipline is incredibly liberating. It's not easy, but it's liberating. There was a man who came to me and said, "Wayne, I used to earn 5,000 a month and I tithed 500 and it was easy. Then I earned 20,000 by God's grace and I tithed 2,000 rand. And that was okay. Now I earn 50,000 rand a month. 5,000 rand is a lot of money and I can think of a lot of things to do with 5,000. It's tough." So we prayed together and I said, "Lord, please return this man's salary to 5,000 rand a month so that life might be easier." Little joke. No one talked to me about that, but you get the point. The invitation of a giving and a generous God is to bring the tithe into the storehouse and to trust Him. To choose to serve God, not money, and your heart will follow and your life will be enriched. I encourage you to try it. So here at Grace, in our physical campuses and online, we say to people, pick a percentage, and if you think a tenth is a big leap for you, here's the encouragement: start small. Pick a percentage. Make it a priority and give it regularly. And watch how every month your heart is ensured that it is in the right place and your trust is in the right place. God, not your things. Life over money. Pick a percentage, make it a priority, and give it regularly. Now, with your heart in the right place, now that you are the boss of your money, not your money the boss of you, because it is a tyrant, this money thing, the Bible gives astounding guidance about how to live financially free. And I did the Discovery Wealth course, mostly to get points so that I could increase my discount on flights. So I was trying to be very good steward of my things. But I discovered there was nothing new in this Discovery Wealth. This new innovative bank could tell nothing new about how we deal with our money. You can do the Financial Peace University course and pay thousands of rands for the privilege, and you'll find nothing new in that. And so when we talk about the biblical witness, man, it echoes through the centuries. So here are 5 biblical principles on how to boss your money rather than your money bossing you. And here's the first: get out of debt. The rich rule over the poor, says the wise King Solomon in the book of Proverbs. And the borrower is a slave to the lender. I think you can instinctively know the truth of that. Debt is aggressively and it is cleverly marketed in our world today. You may well have, in this last week, received a call offering you a personal loan. This is how it goes for me. "Hello, David," because they don't know me. My name is David Wayne. I'm known as Wayne. "How are you?" And I say, "Fine, thank you." "And how are you?" And they say, "Fine, thank you for asking." And then they want to offer me a personal loan. We need plastic surgery. You know that credit card, you know that store card, just take it out and surgically cut it in half, because it is easy access to spending tomorrow's money today. And tomorrow's money is not always sure. So get out of debt. And so how do you get out of debt? We run. And if you watch this video, this is the intensity with which we get out of debt. Free yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter. We run. I love that video, by the way. God says, you want to get out of debt? You do it with gazelle-like intensity. You run like a gazelle from the hunter. So how do we get out of debt? We run with that kind of intensity. It doesn't just happen. Sell stuff. Name your dog Gumtree, so that when you say Gumtree, Gumtree, you think, what can I sell? What can I sell? What can I sell? Get the debt snowball going. Dave Ramsey of Financial Peace University says, attack the little one, the smallest debt by value, and hit it with everything you can. And when you're done, you've used to living without that, so attack the next one. And then like a big rolling snowball, you will be surprised how quickly you are liberated from the hunter, from the slave master debt, the borrower is slave to the lender. So, attack that debt snowball to the best of your ability. The second biblical advice as to how to boss your money is act your wage. The wise King Solomon writes, "The wise store up choice foods and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." So live on less than you make. We got the gimmies, and fools don't prosper. So act your wage. Live on less than you earn. And the way we do that is, thirdly, we spy on our money. So spy on your money. Get on a budget. I'm great at budgeting. I've got spreadsheets, but Michelle is better at sticking to the budget. So we got to work together as a team, but we got to get on a budget. So be a good steward of the resources entrusted to you. If you don't tell your money where to go, you will wonder where it went. So manage your money. In your lifetime, you will handle millions, regardless of how much you earn. But over a lifetime, you're handling millions. So act like that. Have a plan. Jesus says when you start a building, and he's talking about discipleship, the cost of discipleship, but he uses the analogy, when you start a building, cost it out lest you be embarrassed. So don't start a month without costing it out. Have a plan, have it on paper, have it on purpose, and have it before the month begins. And so the month is about to begin for you, so get on a budget. And interestingly, I was spying on my money recently and just having a look at what coffee costs. The worst investment I made was an espresso machine, because the pods are incredibly expensive. So I worked out what it costs for me to make a cup of coffee in my own house. And it's an interesting discovery. I now drink my coffee slowly, and when the pods run out, we're going for Frisco. Who remembers Frisco? I think Frisco is a gravy, not a coffee. I make a little joke. But you will be surprised when you spy on your money. It's liberating. And then fourthly, save money. You cannot outspend your stupidity. Save for the emergencies. Save for the rainy day, because life happens, doesn't it? Saving is a Murphy repellent. In other words, if something goes wrong, it might. And how often in any 1 month, one thing goes wrong and then another 5 things go wrong. Now, the stress of not having an emergency savings means you borrow some more. So it's important that we save for emergencies. When you're broke, everything goes wrong and your life looks like a country song, they say. So in the home of the wise, there is choice food and oil. Save up to buy things. Save up for the emergencies. When you learn to save, you learn to invest. So here's the encouragement. Tithe a tenth, boss your money, save a tenth, and live on 80%. That would be a goal to go for, that we live on 80% of what we earn. We're saving and we're giving. And then the last, and when we get to do all those things with our money, we get to do this last thing, which is a beautiful thing. We give. I love what Paul writes to young Timothy. He says, "Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, because it's so uncertain, but rather to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment." So command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. This is the best thing to do with your money. Be rich in good deeds. Be generous. Now you have money to have some fun. Give to others. Make a difference in other people's lives. Leave a big tip. Make a difference in someone's life. Broke people can't do that. Now, interestingly, you can't do all these things if you don't do all these things. Tithe, get your heart in the right place. Get out of debt with gazelle-like intensity. Act your wage, get on a budget, save and give. And if you want to explore this more, then sign up for the Money Wise course, which you can do at home and in your own time. And you can register just with this code, and we'll get a link to you after that. And then you, in your own time, can work through the Money Wise course. You'll get a link to Right Now Media, which is like the Netflix, Christian Netflix, and it's a beautiful course that just talks through these disciplines. It would be wonderful if you want to explore some more. But here's the truth. God cares about you, not your money. He wants your heart. He wants you to win. He has a game plan for your money, and it works. God wants you to live like no one else so you can live like no one else. Imagine this church. Imagine this digital campus. Imagine the reach of this community if we were all living in this way. And I'd love, as we close, simply to pray for you and pray for all who are watching. So let's pray together. Lord, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. And you know us by name. You're not surprised by our financial position that we might be in. And I pray, Lord, that you would invite us today, just so profoundly, to make the life over money choice, put our trust in you and in you alone, and discover that there is a beautiful abundance in the way in which we can live. Help us, Lord, to escape the tyranny of the money god and to trust in you. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.